Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a bit of a different one from what I usually do because I'm going to be tier ranking all of the book to movie slash TV adaptations that I've seen. Basically any adaptation that has been made from a book, whether it's a TV show or a movie, I'm going to be tier ranking on my little tier list that I made. And I have seen a couple of adaptations and some of them are better than others, as you will see from my ranking, but there are a couple of movies on here that I have actually not read the books for, but I have seen the movies, and I think that the movies are like excellent, and I haven't read the books for. So some of these I have not read the original source material, but for the majority of these I have read the books and watched the adaptations, so I can compare them better than the ones that I haven't read the books for. If that makes sense. So this is my tier list. I have 5 tiers. At the top I have God tier. This is going to be for any adaptation that I think is just perfect, better than the book. Like I will rewatch this one over and over again. Basically just pure excellence. And then I have under that I have perfection. These are for the adaptations that I think are really good but aren't as good as the source material. Like they're really good adaptations, but they're just not at the very top of my ranking. And then in the middle, I have she's cute, she's fun. These are for the ones that are they're okay, they're average, they're not amazing, but they're also not terrible. They're just average adaptations. And then under that, I have Go Girl Give Us Nothing. This is for the adaptations that are just not very good, whether it be objectively or just not very good compared to the book. And then at the very bottom, I have Shouldn't Exist. I already know which ones are going to be in this ranking, but yeah, just the really bad adaptations that just should not exist. So yeah, first up I can't really see my screen, but okay, first up I have Allegiant. This is the last book in like the Divergent series and like the last movie, but I think this is supposed to be like a 2-part situation if I'm not mistaken, but they only made one part. I think it just went straight to like DVD if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember, but yeah, I don't think I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think I enjoyed the book that much either, if I even finished reading the book. This was like back in high school, so I don't think I ever actually finished reading this book, but I don't think I really enjoyed the movie that much either. So I think I'm going to put this one in Go Girl Give Us Nothing. Okay, so next up I have Big Little Lies. This is a TV show that I really enjoyed, but I have not read the book for it. I have it on my shelf. I've had it on my shelf for ages, but I just have not bothered reading the book because the TV show itself was just so good that I didn't really feel a need to read the book. So I really enjoyed this TV show. I thought it was really good. There's a lot of drama, a lot of tension, very good TV shows. I think I'm gonna put this one in perfection, even though I have not read the book yet, but I don't think I'm ever going to, honestly. Okay, next up we have Bridgerton. This is a poster for season 2 because season 1 does not exist to me. So Bridgerton, I have not read the books. I have heard many things about the books. I've heard very good things and I've heard very bad things, which is what makes me not want to not read the books because I've heard that they're slightly problematic and just not very good. So I'm just gonna stick with the adaptation for the Bridgerton series, but for specifically season 2, I'm gonna put this in God tier. This season of Bridgerton was so good. Like this is pure enemies to lovers slow burn in the best way possible. Like this was such a beautifully done adaptation. Like the tension and the yearning and the angst and everything between Kate and Anthony was just so good that I'm gonna put it in God tier, even though I have not read the books. I'm never going to, but this is a TV show, specifically this season, I can rewatch over and over again. Like I've been wanting to rewatch season 2 of Bridgerton because I just need more Kate and Anthony in my life because they are just so beautiful and all of the tension and the angst and the yearning and the slow burn and the enemies to lovers is just so good. So I really love season 2 of Bridgerton, and I need to do a rewatch. I might do that eventually because I have been missing Kate and Anthony. Next up, I think this is Catching Fire, if I'm not mistaken. This poster is so tiny, I cannot see what it is. I'm pretty sure this is Catching Fire though. This movie is pure excellence. This is one of those movies that I like regularly rewatch because I just think it's so good. I honestly don't remember what I thought about the books because it has been like a decade since I have read them, but I love this movie so much. I regularly rewatch it. I love Finnick. I just love everything about this movie. It is so good. The tensions are amazing. All of the Katniss and Peeta moments, beautiful. This movie is pure excellence. So I'm gonna put this one in God tier also because it is just so good. Okay, Crazy Rich Asians. I have not read the book for this one, but I have seen the movie. I saw it in theaters and it was beautiful. Like the wedding scene and everything about this movie is just so visually stunning. Like that wedding, I think about that wedding on a daily basis because it was just so beautiful, and I thought this was really good. I have been meaning to rewatch this because I just thought that it was so good. I honestly did not know that this was originally a book when I first saw the movie. I just went to see the movie because I thought that it seemed like an interesting and fun premise, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm debating between God tier and Perfection for this one. I need to rewatch it. I don't think I'm gonna put it in God tier. I think I'm gonna put it in Perfection, just because I need to rewatch it since it has been a few years since I've seen it. But I'm just gonna put it in Perfection for now. Okay, this is Divergent. Yes, this is Divergent. Okay. Divergent, the first movie in the series. Honestly, don't remember much about this movie series in general, but I think Divergent is a really solid first movie in the series because I remember really enjoying it. I think I have rewatched it like a couple of times. I think it was pretty entertaining. Four is a beautiful man, and that is the main reason that I honestly watched watched this movie more than once because he's beautiful. But I'm gonna put it in. She's cute. She's fun. It's a decent adaptation. It's entertaining, but I don't really remember it being like super groundbreaking. So I think it's just gonna go in the middle tier. I think that seems fitting. Heartstopper, the Heartstopper TV show. Oh my god, this is an adaptation from the Heartstopper graphic novels by Alice Oseman, which those graphic novels hold such a special place in my heart because I love them so much. I have reread them like twice already. I just love them so much. Like Nick and Charlie are just the epitome of soulmates and just a beautiful couple. Like I just love Heartstopper and Nick and Charlie and everyone in this universe so much. Like they hold such a special place in my heart. Like I just love them so much. Like they are my comfort characters. And when I saw the adaptation, it was so good. Like this is probably one of the best adaptations that I have seen because it stuck to the source material beautifully with and they still made some changes to it, but the changes didn't take away from the story. Like it actually helped the story, and I just thought it was so beautifully done. And Nick's journey in discovering who he is and falling in love with Charlie is just so beautiful. So I'm playing this in God tier. It is beautiful. I have rewatched it like 2 or 3 times since I've seen it. I've been meaning to do another rewatch because it's just so beautiful and heartwarming and comforting, and I just love it so much. So it is going at the very top where it belongs. Okay. Insurgent. Couldn't really tell you what happened in this movie, honestly. I don't remember what happened in this movie at all. So I'm just gonna put it in Go Girl Give Us Nothing because it clearly was not very memorable. So I'm just gonna put it in that tier. Okay, Lemonade Mouth. I don't know why I put this on here because I honestly didn't even know that this was a book. until I was like researching adaptations and stuff, and this was on there. This is probably one of my favorite movies ever. It's another comfort movie that I rewatch regularly because the music is just so good. Like the soundtrack, the music in this movie is so good. I love this movie so much. She's So Gone, Determinate, More Than a Band. Like all these songs are just so good. Like it's honestly just an amazing movie. Didn't even know that there was a book, but I love this movie so much, so I'm gonna put it in God tier. I love that movie so much. I also need to rewatch that one because it has been a while. Looking for Alaska. I have the book, but I honestly can't remember if I've read it or not. I feel like I maybe did in like high school, but I just didn't really remember anything about it. But I'm like 80% sure that I did read the book, and then I watched the adaptation that came out a couple of years ago at this point. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation. It wasn't anything like groundbreaking or anything, but it was entertaining. And I remember actually enjoying it. So I think I'm just gonna put this one in the middle. It was a decent adaptation, but I just thought it was fine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. Okay, Love, Simon. I have a very interesting relationship with this movie because I have watched this movie 5 or 6 times. I honestly don't know why I've seen it so many times. Because the first time I went to see it was with a friend because it had just come out and I really wanted to see it because I really loved the book. And then I watched it a couple more times after that with different groups of friends because they also wanted to go see it. And I was like, you know what? I want to watch a movie, and this was the movie that they were watching, so I wanted to tag along. And yeah, I just like incidentally ended up watching this movie like 5 or 6 times. I have all the movie tickets. Like I've watched it more times than I can count. And the first time that I watched it, I really enjoyed it. After watching it like 4 times, I was like, okay, maybe this is not as good as the first time that I watched it because I started picking up on little things that were very different from the book in a very bad way, because the way that not Charlie, the way that Simon's friends reacted to the whole coming out thing and him lying to them and all that whole like conflict, I did not like how it was handled in this movie at all. The first time I watched it, I thought it was like okay, whatever, but the more that I watched it, I was like, ooh, this is not very good, not very nice. And I just didn't really like how that whole thing was done, honestly. So it's still a beautiful story. Simon and Bram are beautiful. The whole Ferris wheel scene is really cute. Like it's just a really cute and heartwarming movie. The way that Jennifer Garner, whatever her name is, reacts to Simon coming out to her is just so beautiful. It's just a really cute coming out story that's not like traumatizing. Like I just think it's really cute, but it's not as good as when I watched it the first time. So I'm gonna put it in she's cute, she's fun. I don't think it's perfection necessarily because it's very different from the book in a lot of aspects and not in ways that I enjoy. Okay, Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. I think this is Part 1. I think this one right here is Part 2. Okay. I don't really like the Mockingjay movies. They are kind of boring. Honestly, I don't think I've ever fully finished watching Part 2. I think of all the 2 times I've tried watching it, I've only made it like halfway, and then I never finished it because I just got bored. So I think I'm gonna put Part 2 and Go Girl Give Us Nothing. And then Part 1. Part 1 is really interesting, but again, I don't think it's really. Compared to Catching Fire, I don't like the Mockingjay movies at all. So, should I put Part 1 in Go Girl Give Us Nothing also, or in She's Cute, She's Fun? I think I'm also going to put it in Go Girl Give Us Nothing because I just don't like the Mockingjay movies. I don't know why they had to split it into 2 parts. Seems unnecessary. And I just think after the high from Catching Fire, I just didn't really feel like sitting through 2 mediocre movies. I also don't think I ever finished reading the Mockingjay book. because I had it on my Kindle Fire like ages ago. I remember having it on there, and I don't think I ever finished it. So Mockingjay, the book and the movies, I could really care less about. So I'm just gonna put them in Go Girl Give Us Nothing. Perks of Being a Wallflower. Oh, I love this movie so much. This is such a beautiful, beautiful movie. The book was fine. I read it last year and it was a really quick read, but I just thought it was fine. Like it wasn't anything crazy or groundbreaking or anything. But I really enjoy the movie. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times and I just think it's a really beautiful and slightly sad story. Like I just really enjoy Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love the movie, but the book not so much. But the movie, I've been debating between God Tier and Perfection. But I think I'm gonna put it in Perfection just because it's not like my favorite movie of all time, but still really really good. So I think I'm gonna put that one in Perfection. Oh God, here we go. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, the movie. Ugh. I remember when I first watched these movies, I think I was slightly drunk when I watched them. There's a video of this up on my channel of me watching the movies after reading the books for the first time. I remember really disliking the movies, but after some reflection and thinking more about these movies, I don't think they're. I'm not gonna say they're not that bad because they are really bad. But I think they're bad in like a fun and entertaining way. They're like entertaining bad movies. They're not like terrible, terrible movies, you know what I mean? Like they're those bad movies that you just can't help wanting to watch and rewatch just because they're so entertainingly bad, if that makes sense. So I don't think the movies deserve to be anywhere other than the bottom. So I'm gonna put it at the bottom because it's still not a very good adaptation, and Rick Riordan had no say in it, and he doesn't really enjoy the movies either. And I'm gonna respect Uncle Rick and his feelings because I also feel the same way. So, yeah, the movies are very interesting, but they're very entertaining. So, I've honestly been wanting to rewatch them just because I think they're so entertaining. I'm also gonna put the second movie down there while I'm at it, but yeah, I can't wait for the TV show to come out because Uncle Rick has a lot of input in it and he's been really involved in the entire process. So I think that those are going to be a very good adaptation compared to the monstrosity that are the movies. But yeah, the Percy Jackson movies, no one really likes them, and for good reason. Shadow and Bone. This adaptation came out last year, and I read the books last year also for the first time because I saw the adaptation was coming out and I wanted to learn more about like the Shadow and Bone part of this universe because I read Six of Crows like ages ago and it's one of my all-time favorite series, and I saw that the crows were going to be involved as well as like the Shadow and Bone stories. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read Shadow and Bone. The books were honestly fine. I remember really despising either the second or the third book. The first book was honestly pretty good. The second book I think I really hated. I think I gave it like 3 stars because it was so boring. And I think the last book, I honestly don't remember what I thought about it, but the books were honestly fine. I don't know if I would reread them, but the books are fine. They were entertaining enough, but the adaptation itself I thought was really, really good. I actually really enjoyed how they weaved in the Crows storyline with the Shadow and Bone storyline. Like I thought that it was really interesting how they made the whole heist revolve around Alina, and that was how they tied in both stories. Like I thought that it was really interesting how they did that, and I really enjoyed it. And I just think the adaptation as a whole is honestly pretty good. I think that if you have not read either of the books, you can still follow along with what's going on in the story. Like my boyfriend has not read any of the books, and we watched this. It was my second time watching it, but we watched it together, and he had a pretty good time watching it. Like he was able to follow along with the entire story, and he really enjoyed it. And I think he wanted to like rewatch it again because it's honestly pretty freaking good. Like it's a pretty solid adaptation. So I think I'm gonna put this in perfection. It's not necessarily god tier, but it's still a pretty solid adaptation. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, the first book in the trilogy, also the first movie. I really enjoyed the book when I first read it. I think it was like 2 years ago. I really, really enjoyed the first book, and I didn't really like the second and third one, but the first one I remember really enjoying, and I really, really loved the movie. Like, I think this is the epitome of just like a fun high school rom-com. Like, I think it is so, so cute. I have rewatched it like 2 or 3 times, I think, and I think that this is just a really solid adaptation. Like, I think this is a really, really good adaptation, especially compared to the book. Like, I think they did this adaptation really beautifully. So I'm gonna put this in God tier, honestly, because it is just pure rom-com perfection. Like, it's just so fun, and I really, really love it. Okay, P.S. I Still Love You. I think that's what the second one is called. I don't really like this one at all. I did not like this book at all. I think I gave it like 3 stars because Peter was just being really annoying and just like toxic in this one. I didn't like Peter at all in the book. I think I didn't like him in the movie at all either. So I think in these two movies is when you can tell that the director changed. Because in the first one there was a female director, and for the last two they changed to a male director, if I'm not mistaken, and you can really tell the difference. Like, the fun rom-comness of it, which is kind of lost when they switched directors, which is honestly really disappointing because I think this could have been a really, really good series if they didn't switch directors, because this had a lot of potential, but the last two just kind of like fell flat. So the second one, I'm not sure where to rank it. I think I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put in Go Girl Give Us Nothing because I just didn't really like it at all. But I think I'm gonna put the third one in She's Cute, She's Fun, because I think I actually really enjoyed that one. I think in this one is where they go to Korea, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it just wraps up the series in a pretty cute way. So I think I definitely like the third movie more than the second one because I did not like the second one at all. But I think the third one is cute and it's fun. So I'm gonna put it in She's Cute, She's Fun. The Fault in Our Stars. Okay. There's a lot to dive into about The Fault in Our Stars. There's a lot, like, looking back on it, there's a lot that's very problematic. I don't think this aged well at all. Like, looking back on it, when they were in the Anne Frank house and they started making out and people around them were cheering, that was very strange. Like, yeah, I don't think this is a really good movie, especially in this day and age. Like, it just didn't really age that well, but I think at the time I enjoyed it, on it, obviously, because I was just like a teenager and I was like, oh my god, a cute, fun little adaptation. But I don't remember how I feel about the book. I probably didn't really care that much about it because I obviously forgot what I felt about it. But the movie itself is not very good. I think I'm gonna put this one in. I'm gonna put in Go Girl Give Us Nothing. I don't think it should exist. I feel that's a bit harsh. But should I put it in shouldn't exist? No, I think I'm just gonna leave the Percy Jackson movies that shouldn't exist because those are monstrosities. So I'm gonna put The Fault in Our Stars and Go Girl Give Us Nothing, and just leave it at that because it was whatever. Hunger Games movie number 1. This is another really, really, really good movie. I have rewatched this one a lot. Same with Catching Fire. Like, the first two movies, I just really love those movies so much. I don't know why. Just something about those movies is just like pure perfection. Like, this was a really, really solid adaptation from the first book. So I really enjoy this one. I honestly might put it in God tier also. Should I? I think I'm gonna put it in God tier because it's just a really solid adaptation. Even if you take away like the book, like, even if you take away the book from it, like, if you don't know that it's an adaptation from a book for whatever reason, and you just watch the movie, I think it's still a really, really good movie, and it's just really good. So I think I'm gonna put it in God tier also because those are just pure perfection. Last up, we have Twilight. I did read the book partially in like either middle school or high school. I think it was in high school. I started reading the book, but I never finished it. I honestly don't know why. I just never finished reading it, but I have seen the movie. The movie is entertaining enough. Like, it's a really entertaining movie, but if you like really think about this series as a whole and some of the aspects of it, it's kind of problematic. But there are some parts in the other movies, like clips I've seen, that are honestly they're really good scenes. Like the baseball scene. I don't know which movie it's in, but the baseball scene with Muse playing is honestly really, really good. And like, yeah, there's just some parts of this franchise that are really good. But then there's some parts that are kind of questionable, like Jacob imprinting on Renesmee is very interesting. Like, it's just there's just a lot that's really strange about this franchise. But the first movie I think was honestly pretty entertaining. I remember enjoying it when I first watched it, and I think it's a pretty solid movie. I don't remember anything from the book. I never even finished reading the book, obviously, but I think the first movie is pretty solid. I think I'm gonna put this in. She's cute. She's fun. So it's not perfection. It's not god tier, but it's also not that bad. Like, it's not a horrifically terrible movie either. So I'm just gonna put it in the middle tier. I think that's where it belongs. So this is my final ranking. I'm really happy with this ranking. I think I'm gonna stick with it like this. I don't think I want to move anything around because I think this is a pretty solid ranking. The ones in God tier are just pure perfection. I love those movies and TV shows so much. So yeah, that was me tier ranking a bunch of adaptations that I have seen. This was a really fun video to make. I just wanted to talk about some adaptations because I feel very strongly about some of these adaptations, and it was just fun putting them all in a tier list and just ranking them and seeing which ones are better than others. Like, I just thought it was really fun. So yeah, let me know in the comments below how you would rank these movies and what you thought of my rankings, if you would switch anything around. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!